What is up, YouTube? Welcome back, guys. Today we are on the last video of the series. Well, the last type, I guess, of the series. I might do a little bit of a wrap-up or something more with this, but this is the final type, guys. We're on to normal. Normal is the best way to end it off, I think, because I think normal is the type I would recommend to anybody who wants to try a monologue of any game, whether you've tried one or not before. I think normal is the best way to go about it because it makes you play it a little differently. We don't have as many resistances because there's not as many dual types, and you also don't have to worry about as many weaknesses. And normal types are relatively very flexible, and I think they're a lot of fun. You get a ton of them early on, which is going to help you out through your runs and stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about the normal types. For the context of this video, if you guys have missed the series so far, this is your first time joining in, this series is about where I go through all the Pokemon of the type. For this video, it's going to be normal, and I rank them in a Nuzlocke setting. And things can vary depending on what game you're playing, but I'm kind of just ranking them in a general standpoint. No matter what game you're playing, how good are they going to be for you? And if there's, generational differences, I'll be sure to clarify some things like that as well. And rank them on a tier list: F, C, B, A, S, and then the top tier, the Larry tier. This is for everyone's favorite gym leader in Scarlet and Violet. This is where I'm going to crown what I think is the best normal type, or the best couple normal types ever. And there's a couple Pokemon that fit in this criteria. There's going to be more than one in this one. I put maybe like 2 or 3 in some of the other lists. Normal is probably the first one that's going to have a lot, and there's reasons for that, and I'll talk about it. Let's go through it. Let's get into it. I'm going to start reverse generational order, and then at the very end of the video, I'm also going to go through all of the Scarlet Violet normal types and talk about how good I think they are as well. We'll go through that at the very end. We'll start reverse generational order, but the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about 4 Pokemon, 3 of which we've already covered in a past video, and then another one. So the 3 I'm going to talk about first is Clefable. How am I forgetting his name right now? And Togekiss. How am I forgetting this Pokemon's name right now? That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Granbull. That's funny. That's funny. I promise I know Pokemon, guys. So these 3 become Fairy type in Generation 6, and I've already covered them in the Fairy video, but I'm still going to rank them. I'm just going to talk about them first so we can go through the pure normal types, because this is kind of, I have to think about them not as Fairy types, so this is not Generation 6, this is just them as normal types. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's why I want to get them out first. But before I even do them, this Gigantamax Eevee is supposed to represent the partner Eevee that you get in Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. And those starters are ridiculous. Pikachu and Eevee are absolutely ridiculous. If you're ever playing a Nuzlocke on that game and you're using the starters, it's already over. Like, it's clearly one of the most broken Pokemon ever. It was literally designed for the smallest of infants to beat the game using that Pokemon. So get that out of the way first. Honestly, I'm just gonna make a tier above. Like, this is the Let's Go Eevee. Fix my typing there. There we go. Let's just get that out of the way first. So the 3 Fairy types that turn in Fairy types and lose their normal typing. Wigglytuff also turns Fairy, but it still stays normal too. It's normal and Fairy. So I'm going to talk about these 3. Clefable is, I put an amazing tier. It's very bulky. It can learn a lot of different moves and fulfill kind of whatever role you need it to be. It's very just reliable and flexible, which is stuff you really want in Nuzlocke. It's also a great pivot too. Granbull I have in the B tier. I also have in the A tier solely because of its amazing ability, Intimidate. Gen 2, you don't really have it, but I just don't think you should play Gen 2. Personally, I think the better way to play is always just playing like Gen 4 or something. Intimidate is just so good, plus the 120 attack stat is just really, really good. It gives them kind of this fake bulk. I mean, it has a decent HP or good HP and pretty decent defense, but with Intimidate backing it, not only is he bulky, but the rest of the team is bulky, and Intimidate is just so easy to shuffle around. And then yeah, plus 120 attack is just great, and he learns a lot of good coverage because he's a normal type, and normal types pretty much always get really good coverage. And Togekiss is one that this is an S tier. I've put it for both Fairy and Flying in the toppest of top tier, so I'm just going to place it here now. This is one of those Pokemon, of the Pokemon like on this list, this is by far one of, if not the best in Nuzlocke. It just completely free wins your Nuzlocke because of its bulk, because of its crazy move pool, the damage output, the defensive utility it can offer you, the pivoting. It's just a free win. Plus, it's like always guaranteed, pretty much, because you always get it as like an egg, like a Togepi has an egg. So that's another crazy selling point. All right, now that we have those out of the way, let's get into the normal types that stay normal throughout their entire career. Let's talk about the Legends Arceus Pokemon first. Weirdier, I'm just going to put in B. Normal Psychic is good typing, and in Legends Arceus, you don't have abilities. So you don't have, like, Intimidate, which would really, I think, bump this thing up even higher. But Psy-Shield Bash in Legends Arceus increases your defensive stats when you use it, so you're doing damage, and you also just get bulkier. And I think that's just so good. Plus, its ability to wall out Giratina, kind of, at least the Ghost-type attacks, and just be able to set up. Makes it really useful for a Nuzlocke of that game. I used it, and it wasn't the best Pokemon, but it was solid. It was solid. It was a solid, hard to break wall that was doing some good damage as well. Because it has good attack stat too. Ursaluna is a complete behemoth, even without abilities, even without having guts. Thing is just crazy. It's so bulky. He has like 130 HP, 140 attack. Normal ground is just such good coverage. You stab high horsepower, stab a headlong rush, which is ground type close combat. Plus, like, I don't know what normal stab was I running, like body slam or something. I can't remember. It gets like it gets the stupidest coverage. It gets like play rough, ice punch, fire punch, thunder punch, crunch. You get like fighting coverage. It's crazy. And Zoroark's also going to go in S. I think normal Ghost is just such good typing. Plus, you have Nasty Plot to set up. Even without illusion stuff, it's just hard. It's hard for things to hit this thing. It really walls out. Something like the Giratina, and is really good against the Volo fight, which is really the biggest thing I take into consideration when I think of the Legends Arceus and Nuzlocke. So that's why they're both going up in S tier. Back to more traditional games. Let's go into Sword and Shield with the Indeedis. I'm putting them both in B. I'm going to put male Indeedee above female Indeedee. Personally, just because it learns Encore by level up. They can both get Encore by TMs. Also, I think having Trick Room on the male Indeedee is more useful. The female Indeedee is much more double-centered with, like, Follow Me and such. But I just think for there's not enough doubles, really, to justify this over the male Indeedee, who is a little bit faster, so offensively a little bit more potent. Encore and Calm Mind is a really good combo. And of course, female Indeedee can have Encore and Calm Mind, but you have to use a TM for Encore, while male Indeedee just gets it earlier. And then you also have Trick Room. But normal Psychic's really good. They're just nice, pretty early physical, or not physical, sorry, special attackers, special tanks for the most part. Yeah, I think B is a great spot for them to be. Obstagoon is going in the S tier. This thing, Guts is one of the best abilities in Nuzlocke because you basically have a choice band on your Pokemon. You have a 1 point times modifier to your attack, or 1.5 times modifier to your attack when you're status, and it also just ignores the drop of burn, especially with Facade. You have Stab Facade. Obstruct is a crazy good move. It's basically it doesn't protect you from status moves, but if anything makes contact with you, so any contact moves, their defense gets dropped by 2. Plus, and just that with Obstagoon's crazy offensive potential because of Guts and just good stat spread. I think this Pokemon is just it's so free. It makes things like even the fighting types that scare it away, really, all of them are susceptible to obstruct. So you can switch it in safely, obstruct something, drop something's defense, and then switch it out, and then whatever your flying type or whatever comes in, and it's gonna blow up that scary fighting type. And you don't have to worry about counter or anything like that. So I think it's just super useful. Double, I bounce between like A and B. This thing is a really good. I think I settled in the top or upper echelon of B with Fluffy cutting the damage of contact moves in half. This thing becomes a really good wall. Plus you have like Cotton Guard and Body Press, which is ridiculous. Body Press getting introduced in this generation changes so many things because now these bulky Pokemon that used to not do damage do a crap ton of damage, and Double is one of these Pokemon that can do it. Greedent's another one. Cheek Pouch just gives you really good healing. It just basically lets you eat a berry twice. So you can have like a citrus berry, you can just eat it twice. You can use Stuffed Cheeks to raise your defense like crazy in like body press, or you can use Stockpile. I like just stockpiling, and Greedy is just bulky. It's super slow, but whatever. You get like Gyro Ball or something, I think. Even without that, it's gonna take so many hits and be totally fine. And it has a pretty good attack stat too, so it can still do some good damage. Drampa is going in the A tier. This thing has 135 attack, special attack, and that's the only thing I need to see. Dragon type, 135 attack. Sap Sippers is a great ability. It just gives you a free immunity, all on top of the ghost immunity that normal types have. And then Berserk is another cool one. Because it's so slow, you're probably going to get hit first, so you can take the hit, you get the Berserk boost, and then you're absolutely destroying whatever's in front of you with 135 plus like 2. A 135 a special attack stat plus 2, nothing is taking that hit. So Drampa, really, really solid. Komala is one of the first ones that's coming down to the lower tiers. I think I ended up settling for C. You guys will... There's going to be not a huge gap, even though I skipped the D tier because... No, why would you ever have a D tier? Why do you guys keep asking for the D tier? The gap between C and F is really minuscule. You know, any of the Pokemon that are in C could be an F. Any of the Pokemon that are in F could be in C. The real jump between tiers is like C to B. Like, these are Pokemon I really do not think are useful for very long, if at all. Like, they're super... C is like the Pokemon I can see as like super niches, and then F is the ones that are like not even a niche. Komala just... Its ability is dumb. You're like always asleep, but you don't even have like Snore, and then things like Dream Eater do double damage to you, Wake Up Slap, which is a rare... Those are rare moves, like all things considered, but still, you just get double affected by those. I don't know. The ability sucks. I don't like the stat spread. It has like good attack, and like decent special defense, but like bad everything else. Yeah, I don't like it at all. I think it's C tier. It has like a useful attack stat, but meh. Type Null and Silvally were two. I wasn't sure if I wanted to rank or not. I decided on doing it. I'm gonna put Type Null. It depends on the rules of your own Nuzlocke, whether if you want to allow this Pokemon, if you want to allow it to be evolved or not, because I guess it's kind of legendary. It's a weird one. I kind of thought about it back and forth, but I thought I'd still put it on the list and talk about it. Type Null is a normal type with 95 in every single stat except for speed and battle armor, which is an ability that ignores critical hits. You cannot be critical hit. That just 95 in everything means you're bulky, means you're hitting hard, minus the speed, but that's kind of okay. And you've got a lot of really cool coverage. It's a very flexible Pokemon, and just battle armor is just so useful. Not having to worry about crits allows you to just play so much differently in a Nuzlocke, and I have to give that credit. And then Silvally, so that was Type Null. Silvally can change the type into anything. Its stats are like 100 in every stat, I'm pretty sure. Something like that. It's just the coverage, the flexibility, everything about it is just so... Clearly, yes. Like, clearly, this is clearly a broken Pokemon. RKS system, you change your type to whatever you need it to be. So it's not actually... It's 95 in everything. You get the speed back. So maybe I should put it with Type Null, I guess, because battle armor... Do you need battle armor, or do you want to change your type for the speed? I'd still put it above, because, I mean, changing your type is cool. Or, I guess, both S. Something like this. I'll just put them both here. How about that? Ringoru, I'm going to put with the Indeedis. It's pretty similar. It doesn't have... So the Indeedis don't have Psychic Surge. I forgot to mention that earlier. That's a hidden ability, and I'm not going to count hidden abilities. And a Ringoru doesn't really have a crazy good ability either. So the only difference between them all is a Ringoru gets Nasty Plot. Like, stats are pretty comparable. A Ringoru gets Nasty Plot, so it's a little bit better offensively, but I think because these two get Encore, I think they might be... I like the supportiveness to them a little bit more than I like the offensiveness. So maybe I'd like sandwich it here. It does get Trick Room, but so does Male NDD. So maybe, yeah, I'll do this. I'll put it in between. I think Male NDD is the best of these, this little trio here. Ringoru is about as good as it, though. It just, if you want Encore or if you want more damage kind of thing. And then I think Female NDD is a little bit behind these guys. Beware is coming right next to Double. It also has Fluffy, so it's you trade a fire weakness for reduced damage against physical attacks. And this thing is just has high HP, has high attack. it's an early game fighting type that can do a ton of damage while also being a pretty good physical wall. I like that a lot. And you're just a fighting type that just happens to have a ghost immunity, which is cool. Alolan Raticate is the first one going F tier. I got nothing for this Pokemon. I think the typing, the abilities, the stats are so much worse than Raticate, and it doesn't have guts to carry it, so it's just absolutely awful. I think this thing is horrible, horrible. Gumshoes at least has a pretty high attack, so that's like 115, and can have strong jaws, so your Hyper Fang and your Crunch can do a lot of damage. I'll give it that. The stats are very unimpressive though, and pretty everything else about this Pokemon is very unimpressive, but I will give it that. At least can do some good damage. Toucannon we just talked about last week with the flying types, and I like this thing. I think Skill Link on a 120 base attack Pokemon is great damage output. Beak Blast, another contact thing for a B tier Pokemon. If they make contact with you while you use Beak Blast, they get burned, which is just great and makes you even bulkier. You're also, if you have decent bulk, you're slow, but you also have a roost because you're flying type, so the bulk is more than it seems. And yeah, I think just Skill Link 120 attack is great. It's great damage output, so B tier to me. Heliolisk is a fantastic electric type. I kind of want to look back at what I placed in the electric type video and must possibly move it up because this thing is great. So normal electric, you're only weak. Two types only have one weakness. You're only weak to fighting and ground, and that's fine to be an electric type that gets the fighting weakness because you now have an immunity to ghost, which is really cool. And if you have the best ability, you get dry skin, which is what I think is the best, and you have the water immunity as well. Plus, you're fast, you hit pretty hard, you have good special defense, and parabolic charge can heal you as well. So you actually have more sustain than you might think. Overall, just amazing. I mean, just absolutely amazing. Really good offensive typing, and really good ability stats. It's kind of got everything you need. Furfrou is coming up in A tier. It has Fur Coat, which the way that Fur Coat works, and also huge power, because you guys have corrected me in the comments because I haven't been describing it correctly. It doubles your attack stat, but not like the base stat you'll see on like Cerebi or Bulbapedia. So Furfrou has 60 base defense, but it doesn't mean its defense is 120. Its defense is whatever the stat is, but doubled. And that's how huge power works too. So let's say your level 50 Furfrou has 80 defense. It actually has 160 instead. You know, it's not base 60. It's not a base 120 defense. It's that 80 defense is just times 2. It's just pure. So that's very bulky Pokemon. Plus, you're really fast, and you have meaningful damage output. It's just a crazy wall. You still have like good special defense too, and it comes out in the game that gives the Soul Test pretty easily. And so this thing is just really bulky, really good wall that can still be, you know, a good support Pokemon or deal some good chip damage and stuff. Really nice pivot. Pyroar is just gonna be a B tier. It's a glass cannon, but it's an early game fire type with good speed, good special attack. That's kind of it. Both abilities are not impressive, but it doesn't really. I mean, fire being immune to ghost is like kind of okay, I guess. I don't think there's much there. I don't know. Being an orb type doesn't really help it. It's a pretty good early. It's a pretty solid early fire. You know, fast, has good damage output. Bunnelby or Diggersby, sorry, does not have huge power as a hidden ability. So this thing is one of the worst Pokemon I've ever seen. Easily F tier. It's just so weak. It does nothing. Braviary evolves super late, which is the reason I'm going to keep it in B tier, but it's a very strong Pokemon. Defiance, a really fun ability. There's just random stat drops everywhere. The opponent will try to use like Leer on you, Growl on you. The AI just likes to use stat debuff moves, so you'll just get Defiant boost randomly. And yeah, it's bulky. It hits really hard. Defiant Cheese is fun. It just evolves really late, so I don't like it as much as other Pokemon. That's really it. You're just not able to use it as much as others. Bouffalan's coming in B tier. Really high attack stat with like Head Smash is fun. It's slow. It's pretty bulky. It just does a lot of damage, and it's fun. Sawsbuck is also going to continue the train of B tier Pokemon. It's a Chlorophyll grass type. I just think the special attacking Chlorophyll grass types are so much better. But it's also kind of weird because like it's the only grass type on this list, so it doesn't really have that competition. So maybe I rank it higher. So I kind of think of it as a normal type. Things get a little wonky. Chlorophyll's a great ability. It has pretty useful stats. Like it can deal some good damage. It's pretty fast already. Horn Leech is a great move. I think B tier is a great spot to put it. Chinchino can have like Encore and can also have like Technician. I know Skill Link is the hidden ability, but Technician is still great. So it can do good damage on. It's really fast Encore too, so you can switch it into something and lock an opponent into a move that just allows you to set up for free or do whatever you need to do. Encore is just such a good ability, and fast Encore users are just so useful for the way they can trap things. I actually thought about putting an A tier for that reason, but I won't. It's really frail. And even with Technician, it's not like fantastic damage output, but it's kind of like a jack of all trades, you know. It's got the nice support, and it's got some good damage, so it can capitalize off its own Encore. But that's kind of what you use it for. It's just Encore, really. Audino's coming A tier. This is one of the best pivot Pokemon ever. It's just so bulky. You've got recovery early. You can still deal moderate damage with just like stab body slam or something, or stab returns, especially early on, because you get this thing really early most of the time. At least in like Gen 5 you get it really early. I can't remember the exact times you'll get in other games, but it's always early. It's bulky. If you can get Regenerator on it too, it's just such a good. That's like the reason it's such a good pivot. I'm putting it like up here. Having a good pivot Pokemon, not every Pokemon on your team has to do damage. If you can have a Pokemon that can just safely switch around and allow you to make better plays, they're useful. If that Pokemon is really good at being that pivot, they're even more useful. And Audino is one of those Pokemon. With Regenerator, it doesn't even have to run any healing moves. It just heals by switching out. So you just pivot in, it heals up, so it kind of just stays alive forever. So it's like almost riskless switching, which is so useful. I almost want to put it S, but I'm not going to. I want to though. Unpheasant is, I'm putting in the B tier. It's a very nice supportive Pokemon. It gets Taunt, Roost, and Feather Dance really early, which is great. Just support. I mean, taunting, stopping the enemy from the opponent from setting up or doing something annoying. To Roost, just healing. Feather Dance, you're neutering attackers a lot. Plus, give it like Eviolite on not Unpheasant, the middle evolution, and it's gonna be really bulky with all of that. And then you also have Super Luck and like Air Cutter. Even with bad special attack, it's still good damage. And even just like Super Luck on anything, Super Luck Fly, Super Luck Brave Bird, or whatever, just has high chance to crit and can just give you more damage output on accident. So I like that a lot. Stoutland's easily S tier. This thing has amazing stats. It's bulky, it hits hard, it's fast, and both of its abilities are great, but one is significantly better. Sand Rush is nice, but Intimidate on this thing is just so good. Intimidate is the best ability, and having one so early, too, once you evolve it into Herdier, you are just so... You have... Plus, like, pair that... Sorry, English is hard. Pair an Intimidate Pokemon with something like an Audino, and you have just perfect switching around. Intimidate's just so useful for the team. It keeps up his own bulk, like I talked about before with Grand Bull and such. It's just such a good ability. Pokemon itself, the stats alone, even without any abilities, are really impressive too. The coverage is great. It's super reliable for you. Easily an S tier Pokemon. Watchog, the other early Unova normal type, is horrible. I really don't see anything. I don't see any reason to use it. I've really tried. Like, I guess it could be maybe C tier. It's less F tier than these other two. Porygon Z with adaptability and like Hyper Beam or Tri Attack, plus you have Nasty Plot, plus you have all this coverage, is just so game-breakingly, damage-outputtingly broken. And I don't think I need to say any more. Plus, it has a pretty good speed stat, so you're probably going to outspeed things too. And you have like Agility and like Conversion, Recovery, all these other cool moves. It's a crazy Pokemon. Licky Licky is better than you might think it is too. It's bulky, It doesn't have the best damage output, but it has some fun things. It has some really cool coverage like Power Whip, and Defense Core Rollout is always nice too. And it also has the move Me First, which is kind of a... It's kind of a me, but it's also kind of like a fun tech you can do against something. Like, let's say... One example I always think of with Me First is you're fighting Cynthia's Garchomp. And let's say it wants to go for ground type, or it wants to go for Dragon Claw against your Licky Licky instead of Earthquake. I don't know why I would go for Dragon Claw, but let's just say it does. Let's say you're fighting a Pokemon that's super effective against itself. You can Me First and do it first, and then just ignore the fact that you're slow, and then just go. And go first, and it's hilarious. It's such a cheeky ability. It's such a cheeky move. You copy the move preemptively, and it also increases the power by it too. So like the fact that your attack is not super amazing kind of gets mitigated by that. I mean, 85. It's 85 when you get basically a choice band boost and use the move against the Pokemon. There's a couple instances, even if it's just neutral damage, you just kind of get to go first. You just get this like fake priority as long as they've picked a attacking move, which you can taunt to set up. Like you can set that up pretty easily. And if they didn't attack you, you kind of just wasted a turn, I guess. So that cheese alone is gonna put it in A tier. Plus, it's just also bulky. It's really bulky, and it can offer some good pivoting stuff. Plus, like knockoff can be nice, disable can be nice. And it gets like Belly Drum and like Sword and Shield and stuff, which is hilarious. That's so funny that does. Chatot's going in the C tier. It's a... If this thing was like an early game, like early game bird, it'd be better. It's like it's a decent special attacking flying type if you need it, which flying isn't the best offensive type always. So if you're lacking one and you need one, there's Chatot. But top of C. Burugly is awful. I really just... It's fast, I guess, but it just doesn't do damage. And, like, Thick Fat is cool, but it's also just not really bulky at all. I think this Pokemon is just super underwhelming. Lopunny's kind of the same thing. I really wish Lopunny had Encore. I feel like that would save it. But, like, its abilities are bad. Q-Charm is your best, which just isn't... No. You get, like, Dizzy Punch. You can get, like, Jump Kick, which is cool. And, like, your Stab Return can be, like, a nice early game... You could be, like, a nice... very early game carry, quote unquote, but I just don't think it lasts very long. I just think the options this Pokemon has are just so lacking compared to others. Like Ambipom. Ambipom is going S tier. It is one of the best Baton Pass Pokemon ever. It can learn moves like Agility and Nasty Plot, so it can set up for its teammates, special attacking teammates. Imagine setting an Agility and Nasty Plot over to a Porygon Z. Like, it's just a free win. Also, on its own, it's fast and hits hard with Technician, and like Double Hit and Aerial Ace you've got good damage on your own, kind of like Chinchino, and I think you have Encore as well. So really nice team support Pokemon, good damage output. It can just enable anything really. Just the fact that you can pass Agility and Nasty Plot so easily on an also like already useful Pokemon on its own. It's just great. Like, you can Agility, start sweeping, you're getting to low health, you Baton Pass it to something else, and then start sweeping again. It's just such... Baton Pass strategies are amazing. B-Barrel is... I have it in the A tier because of its potential with Simple. Simple doubles the stat effects that you gain or lose. So if you get Intimidated, you go to -2 attack instead of -1. But if you Defense Curl, you get +2 defense instead of +1. So early on with Simple B-Barrel, you have like Defense Curl, which is essentially Iron Defense, and then boosts your rollouts. And then later on, you have Swords Dance, which is like a pseudo non-damaging Belly Drum almost. It's like a safer Belly Drum. Or you can Curse and get an Iron Defense and get a Swords Dance off while losing your speed, whatever. It's the setup potential with this thing is just crazy. And the fact that it also has Water Stab to just like have a better offensive stab is just really useful. Staraptor is coming in the S tier. It is a fast, intimidating pivoter Pokemon. It has Intimidate and U-Turn, which is a really cool combo. Just allows for safe pivoting. But if you have another Intimidate Pokemon, you can just easily shuffle while still doing some chip damage. And plus damage-wise, I mean, like Brave Bird, Close Combat is such good damage. Return or Double Edge hits really hard. You got Roost to kind of help shake off that chip from something like Brave Bird. Really good, really good early game bird Pokemon. And you get Intimidate by Staravia, so like level 16. So it's kind of like Stoutland. These two are just, yeah, these two are just so helpful early on. Kecleon is better than you think. It's gonna go in the B tier, but being able to change into the type you were just hit by, if you use something like Encore, this thing can just basically not take damage because you start resisting things. Plus, it already has really good special defense and pretty high attack too. So it's just a nice, like, oh hey, I need some kind of defensive coverage on my team. I'll take a Kecleon. It has to take a hit first, but it's bulky enough, especially like special defensively wise, it's pretty bulky. Physically wise, you're in some trouble. So it's not as like universally usable as I would hope. You know, that's why it's down here in the B tier. So it's a little bit more of a, it's kind of a niche Pokemon, but can be really useful for that niche too. Castform is the ultimate niche. This is just like, hey, I really need stab on this weather. Hey, I'm building a weather team, and I need a weather setter, and I can't find anything else. Hey, Castform, come here. That's Castform. That's all it's used for. It sets weather and then like switches out, or it's gonna die. It's awful. Zangoose has pseudo guts. It's only with toxic boost, I think is what it's called. And it's an alright ability. It's just not as good as Guts. I wish Zangoose was maybe a little bit faster. Oh, Toxic Boost is the hidden ability. So it's just have immunity, sorry. So you can't be poisoned. And I think 115 attack, 90 speed is good offensive. So you're a good offensive Pokemon that can't be poisoned, so you don't have to worry about running around and your Pokemon fainting. There you go. It does get like Swords Dance and stuff, so you can really sweep and go crazy. And it gets some cool coverage, like it gets like X Scissor and like dark coverage, so it's not a bad offensive Pokemon. Spinda's it's going C tier. It's a very mediocre Pokemon, but it does have cool things like Dizzy Punch at least to give it more use than others. So put it up here and see. Delcatty is just one of those Pokemon it's so underwhelming. It really just doesn't do anything. You're using it for like Sing, and that's awful. That's awful. Exploud, I'm willing to put in the B tier solely because of Boom Burst. It's a nice kind of coverage special attacker. It is pretty frail though. It's not gonna take a lot of hits and it's not very fast. So you need some good team support behind it, really, but it can do some really good damage with the coverage and the and just Boom Burst. Just Boom Burst is just such a strong move, and it's spread too. So in case you're in any double battles, let's see. Slacking is coming into the A tier. It's a legendary Pokemon that can only act every other turn, but you have Slack Off to heal off the turn. So it's just like, it's kind of annoying to use, but it's just still such a crazy Pokemon that it can easily afford to not move every turn. And just, you kind of just one-shot everything the turns you do attack. So like, it's just annoying, but it's so strong. It's so good. You have plus you have Encore. Yawn and Encore is really, really good. Just, you have that by Slack Off, and Slack Off even hits like a truck, honestly. And then once you turn into Vigoroth, you're just, even if you just don't want to evolve him, just want to use Vigoroth. Vigoroth's really good too. Yeah, the support, the tankiness, the damage. It's a legendary Pokemon that just can't go every turn. Like, so it's got to be up here. Guts Swallow, baby. Easily going in the S tier to me. Guts just gives you a free choice band. This thing is blazing fast. And you learn Wing Attack really early too. So you've got a choice banded base 60 attack stab, and then once you get Facade, it's like over. You're gonna blow up everything. Swallow just is like the ultimate sweeper. And for Nuzlocke, I can't think of like a more I can't think of a more, I guess, well, what's the word I'm trying to think of? A more fitting mascot to Nuzlocke's, to like Nuzlocke sweeping than Swallow. No setup required. Just go get poisoned, click Facade over and win. GG. Give it a choice banner to Soak Scarf and it gets even better. Linu's gonna be in the B tier. It's a very useful early normal type with like fast headbutt, which is good damage output for early on. And then later on it does get Belly Drum, which you can cheese sometimes. You can cheese it hard in Emerald, but like then Power Spike starts coming and kind of scaring it away. And it's like, I don't know how much you're gonna get away with Belly Drum Linu. And so I'm gonna leave it in the B tier for there. It can really pop off. It can really pop off. Like out of everything in this list, it can go crazy. I mean, just as crazy as like these guys can, you know. So yeah, in an early game, it's just nice. Smeargle, like, how do you really use this Pokemon? You have to you have to like sketch and then relearn sketch. It's just super awkward. Don't. It's not worth it. This Pokemon's bad. It's way too much work to set up this sketch. It's like still an awful Pokemon. it's so frail and it does no damage. So like it's the niches of niche, and just don't do it. I love Smeargle's design, so don't think I just hate this Pokemon. I mean, I hate it because of competitive, but don't think I hate this Pokemon. It's just no, just no. Stantler has Intimidate, and also has pretty good offensive just potential. It has pretty good speed, good attack and special attack, and a lot of cool coverage. It can be like a Calm Mind Intimidates setup sweeper, and it kind of just learns anything you need it to. Like having Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt is just really nice on this Pokemon. Very flexible, Intimidate Shuffling, and its ability to kind of start carrying and sweeping with Calm Mind and such is just super useful for it. Girafarig is another one of the best Baton Pass Pokemon I can think of. I think Ambipom's better because I'd rather pass Nasty Plot in Agility than Calm Mind in Agility. But Girafarig is super good at that. But also on its own, it's not as good as Ambipom, so I'm going to keep it down here in the A tier. But it can still kind of sweep on its own. So running something like Agility, Calm Mind, and let's say Dark Pulse, Shadow Ball, Psychic, you know, Thunderbolt, because it can get a lot of cool coverage too. It's really nice. Ability-wise, there's nothing special. We'll talk about this again. This is just for Girafarig. This is not for a Giraffe. I'll talk about that at the end of the video. Porygon 2. So this is before. This is Gen. Really, just Gen 2 is the only time you can get this Pokemon. I guess Gen 3 if you're playing with like Impossible Evolutions on or something. So this is before you get Porygon Z. It's still a really good Pokemon. I'm gonna put it in A. It's bulky. It has a lot of coverage. Has Recover, Conversion, and those moves are actually pretty cool. They can just change your type and get Stab or just start resisting things. Plus the Recovery, you're kind of just cooler Kecleon. And then yeah, still has really good offensive potential with high attack stat, high special attack stat, and you get like Agility too to increase your speed and start sweeping. And just cool coverage like Bolt Beam coverage, Psychic, stuff like that. Ursaring is just a attack. It's just a physical attacker. I don't think there's really anything special to it. It hits hard. It's not fast. It's not super bulky. It's just like, I need damage. Here's Ursaring who can provide damage. So B. Dunsparce is going in C. Serene Gray's Body Slam. Serene Gray's Headbutt is cheese. That's all it can do. You just kind of hope and pray. Apom is a... It's not a bad baton passing Pokemon. As a Pokemon on its own, like if it's the only thing left, it's gonna do nothing. But it's a baton pass Pokemon, so it's got something there. So I'm going C, and I think that's fair. Blissey breaks the game. This is an impassable special tank. Even like most physical attackers probably won't get past the Blissey with leftovers and soft boiled and cheese, and plus you have Serene Grace to like Thunderbolt paralyze and stuff. So it's like Blissey is going up here. Okay, Blissey is one of the Pokemon that I always ban in my Nuzlocke. I never use Blissey And I'm just gonna get another one out of the way real quick. I never use Snorlax either, because Snorlax is just ridiculously crazy. Snorlax is... Blissey is just an immovable wall. Literally immovable wall. It has to be a physical attacker, and I can also just bring Intimidators, and then Blissey's unkillable. So Blissey's like near unkillable. It takes a lot of the challenge away from your challenges. Snorlax is also very unkillable. It's super bulky, not the level of Blissey bulky, but it also has a crazy damage output, even without potential of like Belly Drum, and you have like Gluttony Belly Drum, so you can use things like Figgy Berries and recover more HP. It's a monster. It is just so easy. It's just so easy. Like, there's nothing to it. Like, at least Porygon Z is frail and not super fast already. Like, at least it has that. There's nothing for Snorlax. There's no weaknesses here. I'll fight a fighting type. I don't care. I'm so bulky. I'm gonna kill it. Like, not really, but like you have to try to lose these Pokemon, really. And that's why they're here. Let's get back into Johto. Miltank is really good. Whitney knew what she was doing. Milk Drink is great recovery. The stats are great. The defense crit rollout is super solid. You've got things like Body Slam. It's a great pivot Pokemon. It's kind of like, it's not as good as Audino is. I kind of want to put Audino S tier, but I'm still not going to. It's a nice pivot that can do some good damage, and you have good recovery because of Milk Drink. So you can use like a berry and have even more recovery and just like not die ever, or you can use other items too. Maybe increase your damage output or something. Togetic, this is before Gen 4. So before Togekiss comes into play. It's awful. It's like Encore. That's all you really do. You just Encore, and that's literally it. Noctowl is C or B. It's just super underwhelming. Special attacking flying type before Gen... Like, Chatot is a special attacking flying type, but it's designed intentionally to be. Like, it's given Chatter, and it's given Air Cutter, and it's given Air Slash. It's like given everything it needs to be a special attacking flying type. Noctowl was introduced without it, and it kind of just has to pick up scraps. Like, later on, you get, like... It's like you're using, like, a non-stab Confusion, which, with this Pokemon's subpar stats, it's not doing a lot of damage. Later on, like, Gen 4 and stuff, when you have, like, Calm Mind, Roost, Air Slash, it can be okay, so I will end up putting it B. It's also just super awkward. It's kind of an awkward Pokemon. I don't know if I really want to put it B. I'm looking at some of these Pokemon in B tier that can do more. I need to move some Pokemon down to C. I almost want to make a tier below, so I'm going to move some Pokemon at the top of C tier, and these are the ones that I think are better, but just don't deserve to be in the B with these other guys. I'll leave Zangoose up here. I'm pulling Expod down. I'm pulling Expod. I don't think Boom Burst late levels is enough to keep it. I think you just have to work too hard to make it fit on your team. And B tier's just getting crowded. There's a lot of Pokemon in the B tier. It's getting a little crowded. I need to change some things, you know. I need to pull some people down. Actually, I'm checking Boom Burst one more time on Exploud, and it looks like you actually don't even get Boom Burst on at a usable level at all. It's like in the 70s. So 58 in generation, what is that, 7? Okay, so you can maybe use Boom Burst. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it C. You can maybe use Boom Burst. Fur, it's coming in the C tier. There's really nothing, there's nothing to Fur it. It's an early game normal type that doesn't have anything special like Belly Drum on Linoon or I don't know, something else. It's there. It's cute, it's awesome, I love it, but doesn't really do that much for you. Porygon, just Porygon. Porygon 1, whatever. This is before Gen 2, so this is really just Gen 1, but I guess you're playing like Fire Red and you don't have impossible evolutions or anything, and you're stuck with Porygon, it's still able to be a decent damage output dealer. Like, it can learn Bolt Beam and Psychic. It still gets Recover. It still gets everything. It just doesn't have the stats to really be good, necessarily. Like, Porygon 2 really pops off, and then Porygon Z really, really pops off. Honestly, Porygon 2 could come up here, maybe. No, I'll leave it down here. Also, if you wanted to use Porygon 2 in like Generation 4 with Eviolite, take that into consideration with Porygon Z, because that's when Porygon Z is fully evolved and stuff, so I'm thinking about that line. When I talk about Porygon 1 and Porygon 2, I think of that's the final evolution that you have access to in that game. So I think that's how I'm ranking them there. So hopefully that clears up a little confusion that might arise there. Ditto is the niche sub niche. You have to use your opponent's Pokemon against you, which can maybe work. Can maybe work. Maybe it can go B tier, actually. No, I'll just leave it here. It's the niche sub niche. Tauros is A tier attacker. It's fast, it hits hard, Intimidate's great. It's already pretty bulky, and it has some cool coverage too. I think it's all I really need to say about it, honestly. It's just another, it's an Intimidate Pokemon. Kangaskhan is also going in A. I think it's a little bit worse than something like Tauros. Honestly, Tauros could even go S. I might put it S, just because of everything. I think I'll settle at top of A. How about that? I'll settle at top A. Kangaskhan is a nice, pretty bulky, physical attacker that can also have just cool coverage. Things like Rock Slide, Earthquake. You get things like Dizzy Punch, fighting coverage. You have Fake Out. You can have Scrappy too, so you don't have to worry about ghosts. And you just good damage. It's just good, reliable damage from Pokemon that doesn't fall too easily. And that's kind of it. Chansey is the same thing as Blissey. It's the same thing with Blissey. In fact, if you're using Blissey, you could be using Eviolite Chansey even before Blissey comes into the game, or if you're playing like Fire Red or something. It's still the same thing. It's still the same immovable wall. Blissey just like evolves and then handles power creep a little bit better without Eviolite. Lickitung, unlike Licky Licky, is complete dog water. It's horrible. Knockoff just isn't. It's the only thing it literally can possibly offer you. Yeah, and Knockoff is like 20 base power at that point too. So, bad. Dodrio is a really good physical flying type. It's fast, it hits hard, you get Drill Peck pretty early. You have Tri Attack in like Gen 3, and then later on you're just gonna swap Dry Attack for like Return. Double Edge, other physical normal stab. There's stuff, the Secret Power, that's fine. Yeah, having Drill Peck, and then you get Roost later on too, and you can still get like Brave Bird. It just has good attack, has good speed. It's a great offensive Pokemon. My boy Lil Farfetch'd is the king of all kings, but not really. Only in my heart. Stick gives it crazy critical hit chance, especially with like Slash, and then you can like Swords Dance. And so you can set up and kind of pop off with this Pokemon, but it's like still so weak that even after setting up, still like kind of unimpressive. But the extra crit chance on Slash, like Slash just has such a high. I'm not gonna say you always crit, but like being able to Swords Dance and then always crit is cool. So I'll give it C. Persian can have like Technician, which can help. Can be fast and deal some good damage. Technician Fake Out's nice. Technician coverage is nice. This is kind of another Pokemon that's like almost B tier, but it needs to be in C just because it's worse than other Pokemon. Like it's so much worse than like a Chinchino kind of thing. Wigglytuff is a worse Clefable in my opinion. It's not as bulky. You get a lot of cool coverage moves though, so it can kind of roll fill for you, but it's just not nearly as good. But it does at least have the Fairy typing Generation 6 on, which makes it a little bit better. I just think, yeah, it's kind of like, it's like bouncing between B and C too, so it's like, I really do want to make another tier. I kind of do. I might just pile all these in the F tier. I think I'm going to do it. I'm just going to pile all of these guys into the F tier that are really just nothing. And the ones that are like, oh, hey, there's some kind of niche here, can stay. There. How's that? I like that. That feels better. And then I can pull Pokemon like Pyro down. Because I was looking at Pyro, I was like, I don't know if I want to keep you up there forever. This feels pretty good. That feels pretty good. That feels better. Again, not a lot. Some of these Pokemon F tier could go up to C tier. I'm just putting them down here because there's just so much less I can think of what to do with them. Lopunny can stay up actually. And no. Alright. Fearow is a worse version of Dodrio, but it's an earlier version of Dodrio, so it's not bad at all. I think I'm just gonna leave it in the C tier too. It's, yeah, early. You evolve pretty early. You evolve at 20. I'm actually gonna put it in B. You evolve at 20, which is really nice. It's kind of like Furret, I guess. Or not Furret, sorry. It's kind of like Linoon, I guess. The early evolution and early damage output. You have things like Mirror Move, which would be kind of nice. You do get Drill Peck eventually, but you probably already served your role at that point. But just early evolution, allowing you to kind of carry things early for the beginning chunk of the game while things are still evolving is super helpful, and then it just kind of leaves. Like once you get Drill Peck, like it can stay if you ever need an extra flying type, but it kind of just leaves. Raticate is a Guts Pokemon. It's not quite Swellow level Guts, but it has to be up here in A tier. In Fire Red, you don't get Facade, which sucks. If it did, I would put it in S tier. That's the main game you're going to see it in, but other games it's going to have Facade, but you might be fighting other... You might have to, you know, deal with other Guts users in the game that might be better than Raticate could be. But even without Guts, you have early Hyper Fang, which is crazy good damage. Better damage than, like, Linoon Headbutt. And just that Choice Banded is crazy. So, I think A tier is a great place to put it. You even get, like, Shadow Ball or eventually a Crunch later. Bite and Crunch to hit Ghost types. You get things like Thunder Wave, too, which is kind of fun. So you're not just attacking, you could be like fast, a little bit of support. I could put it in A, I could put it in S tier. I really could. I really could. I kind of want to. I kind of want to. You guys are gonna be mad about it, but I kind of want to. It is not as fast as Swellow. And I don't think it hits as hard as Swellow. I'm actually going to pull up their stats and compare them, and this is going to like decide whether it goes in S tier or not. Is I'm going to compare it to Swellow. I hope they didn't get any buffs, because whatever, I'm just not going to worry about those. So Swellow has 85 attack, Raticate has 81. Oh, they have like similar bulk too. Oh, I kind of want to keep it up there. I kind of want to keep it up there at S. I'm going to do it. Be mad about it. I'm gonna do it. It's a really good early game carry, and it carries itself into the late game because of having a choice band on everything and having, you know, just choice band, just free choice band. That's 85 is somewhat stronger than it appears. I think it drops off a little harder than Swellow, but I'm still gonna put S tier. And then Pidgeot, the first normal type and the first normal bird, is F. I think the 3-stage evolution on this Pokemon that has an identity crisis of whether it wants to be a supporter or whether it wants to be offensive. It's like comparing it to so you're gonna compare it to Fearow because you're gonna get Fearow at the same time. Fearow evolves earlier and also gets moves like Drill Peck, so it's way better offensively. Okay, let's compare it to other 3-stage flying evolutions, like, how about Unfezant, who's another defensive one? Well, Unfezant gets, like, Taunt and Roost and Feather Dance really early, and then also has Super Luck. And it's like, what does Pidgeot have? Nothing. Pidgeot's one of the most power crud Pokemon ever, which is sad. It kind of just doesn't do... even in Gen 1 and, like, in Kanto games, I really don't think it's a very good Pokemon at all. Like, once you have it as a Pidgeot, it's like... okay, I guess. Like, I could maybe put it C. Looking at this list, I'll leave it in C because I look at this list and I'm like, okay, I guess it's no. Even Farfetch'd is better. Like Farfetch'd is just straight up better than Pidgeot because you have Swords Dance and Stick, and you're doing more damage with like Fly or Slash or something. And I mean, the bulk is it's not like Pidgeot's really that bulky anyways. And if one of them has Roost, the other one's gonna have it too. So it's just I feel like it's just the most outclassed Pokemon ever. So I'm gonna put it down here, and I'm gonna leave Farfetch'd. You know, I'm keeping Farfetch'd up here. I'm doing it. I don't care. Swords Dance, always critting Slash is hilarious. All right, real quick, let's go over the Larry tier. So I've got these. These are the ones that I always ban, pretty much. Other ones that I think deserve to be in this tier. I think Porygon Z's damage output potential is just absolutely crazy. You can just like you can just mow through everything. I think Swellow being one of the best gut sweepers ever is and just being one of the best just non-setup sweepers ever in Nuzlocke history. I feel like it's the mascot of Nuzlocke for me personally, and yeah, I mean it deserves it. It's just super strong. And then later generations, you have to deal with power creep, so maybe it's not gonna be one-shotting everything, but at least have Roost, so it gets better. Then I could put other Pokemon, like, honestly, other Pokemon that could go up here is like Stoutland could possibly go up there. Staraptor could possibly go up there. But I think it's going to be it. We've talked about Togekiss before. Swellow I put in there last time in the flying video. I talked about these three because I just banned them all the time. Like, I think they're just so broken. So the actual pick, I guess, the more nuanced pick will be Porygon Z. I think it's just goes crazy. And for the last part of this video, let's go ahead and take a look at the Pokemon Violet Pokedex and the normal types in there and how I think of them so far. I have a pretty good idea of all the normal types, so I should be able to go through this pretty fast. And this is only the new normal types. I don't care about anything returning. The first one that comes up is Tandem Mousehold. This thing with Population Bomb is fantastic. This is the greatest Pokemon I've ever seen in my life. It's just 2 mice, and then 2 little babies show up. 1 or 2 babies show up. This is the greatest Pokemon ever. Population Bomb is good. It's late. It's a late move, but until then, you have Encore, you have Super Fang, you have things, and you get like player up coverage, which is fun. You can possibly get ability capsules, not too late, so you could possibly get Technician, which could be really cool. Otherwise, Cheek Pouch isn't bad. Guard's only used for doubles, but Terra Normal Population Bomb with the wide lens, which you can buy, is tearing up competitive, and it's gonna tear through your game too. I think this thing is amazing. It's like an A tier or so. Maybe B, like an A or B tier. Encore is super nice. Let's see, the next one up is Arboliva. This Pokemon is really cool. I thought Grass and Normal was gonna be. I saw Grass and Normal, and I was like, why? But this Pokemon's really cool. Seed Sower, whenever you get hit, you set up grassy terrain, and you're slow, so you're probably getting hit first anyways. It has nice evolution timing. You know, 25-35 is cool. It has a really high special attack stat, and you get a lot of cool coverage. 125 is great, and you got some good bulk. Plus, you're gonna get recovery off of that, and then you get stack off of a grassy terrain. Stack that with like leftovers, and yeah, you're in for a treat. Plus, it has really cool coverage. Like it can learn like Earth Power, Dazzling Gleam, which is really cool. There's Earth Power, Pollen Puff, just bug type attack. You know, cool. Also can get Encore. So I really like this one. This is like an A tier or so to me. Hate that the website like goes back or goes forward, and this is a little glitchy. I don't know, it always does this when I go back. Squawkbilly. Let's just do this. Squawkbilly, all of the forms can have Intimidate. The only difference between the forms is, so the blue and green hidden ability is Sheer Force, and white and yellow hidden ability, no, sorry. Blue and green hidden ability is Guts, white and yellow hidden ability is Sheer Force. In a Nuzlocke, you can't really get hidden abilities anyways, so, even though I kind of just talked about it with Mousehold. But you want Intimidate. These things are Intimidators, and they're already fully evolved Pokemon. They don't evolve, so you're running with the 96, 92, 82, like you're running with this from the very beginning of the game. You can get them pretty early, plus Intimidate. Yeah, that's pretty good to me. And they get Roost, Brave Bird, Mimic is fun, Torment's fun, Taunt at that earlier is pretty fun too. Yeah, I like them. I think they're somewhere like A tier-ish, BA. I think pretty highly of them. I might do a normal type Nuzlocke of Scarlet and Violet. I'm trying to think of the type I want to do. I might do Fighting. I think like Fighting, Ghost, Fairy, Psychic, Normal. I'm thinking. Frigiraffe is the next one up. I think both these abilities are really cool. Kudchu, you eat your berry again. It just gives you. I think you eat your berry the next turn. You just like protect to eat it again. But Armortail is the really cool one. You just don't have to deal with priority. And so you just don't have you never have to worry about like Surprise Sucker Punch, really. Normal Psychic is pretty good typing, and this thing's bulky. Has 120 HP, 70 defenses. That's pretty good. And attack is not bad. Special attack is great. It gets nasty plot and really good coverage moves. You can easily nasty plot agility Baton Pass. That's how I used it in my playthrough. Just like kind of for fun, but I did somewhat Nuzlocking stuff. Like I tried to stay around the level cap, and I didn't use items and such. And this thing was just sweeping. It was sweeping everything, which is like you just setting up and then using like Psychic or Twin Beam or Shadow Ball against the Psychic Gym or whatever. So I think really highly of that Pokemon. Whoops. Where'd I go? Where'd I go? Oh no. Let's see. I think I see the next one. Just want to make sure I didn't. I went down really far. This took me down really far. Okay, there's for a giraffe. Next one is Grafii. It's alright. That's kind of all I think about it. I think it's alright. It's fast. Hits pretty hard. Poison Fang. 28 evolution, I felt like took a while. I felt like that kind of, I was waiting a while for mine to evolve. And then for the 90, waiting that long for like 95, 110, it was okay. It was okay. I think like B or so. I wasn't super impressed. Let's see, who is up next? Next up is... I guess at some point I need to make a video and talk about the new Pokemon I haven't talked about. Maybe I'll just do like a early impressions Nuzlocke tier list of all Gen 9 Pokemon. So I think next up is Cyclizar. This thing is like S tier. Early Dragon that's this fast. You can get this thing really early. Early Dragon that's this fast has Breaking Swipe at 14. Like that's great stab. Shed Tail is crazy. Shed Tail is just free. You just get a free Shed Tail off because you're like 125 speed, 121, and like 95 is super useful. Super usable at that point. And like so is 85 special attack. Like this thing great. This thing just carries you early on, and like you just Shed Tail later. Absolutely amazing. Plus, even if you get like status and you're about to Shed Tail, you can just like stall until you Shed Tail and gets rid of it. Horrible shiny, but really good Pokemon. This is like S. Let's see, after that, next normal up is, I think there's only like one or two, if I'm remembering correctly. Not Flamigo. Not Gambit. And none of the Paradox Pokemon are normal or anything. So that's gonna do it. So just Cyclizar is the last one. So that's gonna do it for the list, guys. Let me know what you think about this list. What do you guys think about the list? What do you guys think about the series? What more content do you guys want to see from me in the future? I know this is a long one, but normal was a lot to get through. There's a lot of normal types, and I wanted to, you know, put some effort in it. I want to put some good effort into the last one of this series. You know, there might be some like wrap-ups and stuff, but let me know what other content you want to see, and also let me know who your favorite normal type is. Mine has to. I love Furret. That's so cute. Say what you will, meme all you want. I think Lopunny's design is nice. I think it's a cool, like, cute design. And then the internet ruined it because you guys are all weirdos. I like Furfrou a lot. There's a lot of normal types a lot. I like Furfrou's design a lot. Raticate has grown on me. Giraffe Rig for a Giraffe. New one is one of my favorites too. Swellow. Oh yeah, my favorite's gotta be Zoroark though. I love Zoroark and the new Hisuian Zoroark, which is so cool. It was just so cool. So let me know what your favorite normal types are in the comments below. Let me know what other videos you guys want to see from me. And if you guys made it this far into the video, thank you for supporting my channel and for enjoying my content. I enjoy the content I put out. I'm glad you guys do too. Please do consider subscribing to the video, or subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and the more you guys kind of support me, the more subscribers I get, the more I can feed back into my channel and improve my own content. So please do consider all of that. Please do consider everything I said. Subscribing, liking, commenting, yada, yada, yada. Giving me a hug virtually because I don't want any of you knowing where I live because that'd be weird. But anyways, thank you guys. Stay tuned for future content coming out. some more VGC stuff on the side as well. I love y'all. Peace. We're done, baby.